Last week saw Washington's mountain passes closed for days as snow and freezing rains covered the roads, and some have questioned if the closures were made worse by staff shortages caused by the state's vaccine mandate.
So our own Ian Smay spoke with the transportation leaders here in the state about those closures. He's joining us now in the newsroom with what they had to say. Ian?
Snoqualmie Pass was closed for 4 days after that snowstorm, leaving drivers and freight with no way to get back across the mountains. While this is one of the longest pass closures in history, the Washington State Department of Transportation has actually seen a 4-day closure at least 3 times before. As they told me earlier today, the length of the closure was more down to the safety of its crews. Last week's historic snowstorm forced the Washington State Department of Transportation to close the state's mountain passes. In the case of Snoqualmie Pass, its 4-day closure was one of its longest, but not unprecedented.
Well, history repeats itself. So we saw the similar conditions back in 08, 96, and 1990 with extended closures with similar conditions.
However, with the long closure, some people have questioned if the length of the closure was influenced by a staff shortage caused by Governor Jay Inslee's vaccine mandate. But according to WSDOT, that isn't the case. There have been 4-day closures of Snoqualmie in the past. The most recent one, according to WSDOT, was back in 2008 amid a winter of historic snowstorms. According to WSDOT data, that 4-day closure started on a day when the snow accumulation was the same as the first day of last week's closure. Snoqualmie had seen a foot of new snow on January 29, 2008, just a couple inches less than the new snow totals from last Thursday. COVID-19 and the vaccine mandate that stemmed from it didn't exist back in 2008.
We could have an unlimited amount of employees, but when you're dealing with that type of weather, it doesn't matter how much staff you have. It's going to be a challenge regardless.
WSDOT did say WSDOT had about 1,500 employees before the pandemic. Not counting other reasons for leaving, WSDOT said the agency lost about 403 employees due to the mandate, but through rehiring are now only down 140 staff members. WSDOT says this wasn't the reason for the extended closure, instead pointing to safety concerns.
It had nothing to do with staffing to keeping it open. It had everything to do with the fact that we closed it because there is extreme safety concerns that we had about our crews out there.
Some of those safety concerns included high avalanche dangers, among other worries.
We were dealing with avalanche danger. We were dealing with several feet of snow accumulating on our overhead signs that we didn't want falling onto traffic moving underneath that. We also had crews seeing trees fall as they were, plowing snow and hearing trees crack as they're out on the road.
WSDOT also said WSDOT moves crews around to accommodate severe weather events such as last week's snowstorm. She added that the department actually had enough staff to operate all of the available equipment, so more employees wouldn't have helped. We reached out to the Washington Federation of State Employees, the union which represents WSDOT workers, multiple times, but we have not heard back. In the newsroom, Ian Smay, KREM 2 News.
All right, Ian, thank you very much.